The following program is a color feature presentation on the Hughes Sports Network.
Bring it in, baby! Come on, Bobby, hit somebody! Come on, let's go! Get on the ball! Take him! Come on, now, get him back! We gotta have his back! Make it go! Make it go! That's what he's saying! All right, take it in! Take it in!
This Week in Pro Football is brought to you by Hager, the Slacks people. We make everybody look good. And by the 1972 Buick, something to believe in.
Hi, I'm Tom Brookshire.
And I'm Pat Summerall. After all the preseason discussions of the merits and demerits of pro football, last week on opening day it became obvious once again why pro football has become the nation's most popular sport.
Well, you're right, Pat. There were 90-yard touchdown passes, 100-yard runs. There were rookie quarterbacks leading their underdog teams to astounding upsets, and a record-breaking rushing performance, and a leg-breaking coaching performance. And most of all, by anybody's calculations, about half the games played were staggering upsets. Pro football has proved itself once again to be the most exciting and most unpredictable show you can find anywhere.
And we'll be back to show you all the best parts of last week's action right after this message.
When the San Francisco 49ers visited Atlanta, they should have expected trouble because the Falcons had won 3 of the last 4 games between the two teams. 4 out of 5 just didn't seem possible, but last week, anything was possible.
The Falcons had brand new red jerseys and a brand new green rookie cornerback named Tom Hayes, the perfect meet for pro football's pass master John Brody. But Hayes intercepted Brody's first pass of the season to set up an early lead for Atlanta. In the second quarter, Brody finally got the 49ers moving goalward as he swung a pass to newly slimmed down fullback Ken Willard for 30 yards to the Atlanta 25. Brody then fooled the Falcons with a flanker around play to former running back Jimmy Thomas, who easily covered the last 25 yards to the Falcon goal. Later, Brody looked more like last year's passing champion when he hit a third down pass to tight end Ted Kowalik for a 33-yard touchdown. But 3 49er fumbles and 4 interceptions, 2 by rookie Tom Hayes, set up Falcon passer Bob Berry for one of his better days as he hit 16 of 21 to 6 different sticky-fingered receivers. An over-anxious lineman spoiled one Falcon touchdown by second-year running back Sonny Campbell, but Berry came right back with a scoring pass to number 2 draft choice Ken Burrow, a San Diego State teammate of the Falcons' other hero of the day, Tom Hayes. Berry at one point hit 9 straight passes, but the star of the day was number 82 Ken Burrow, who scored twice and may be the swift outside receiver Norm Van Brocklin has been seeking for years, and in a way is a reminder of the bouncy former Falcon hero Tommy McDonald. Final score, jubilant Falcons 20, upset San Franciscans 17.
A famous quote in pro football is that offense sells tickets, but defense wins games. Well, in Denver, the defense sells the tickets too, as Miami's high-powered Dolphins found out.
Denverites have been waiting for a winner for a long time. They have the defense to win. What they need is more scoring. Coach Lou Saban even brought some new glasses this year, hopefully for more frequent looks at the scoreboard. But as Miami's Dolphins found out, the thing in Denver is still hard-hitting defense, as Larry Zonka, number 39, earned every one of 63 yards rushing. Following a first quarter Miami field goal, Denver tied the score after Bobby Anderson completed a 48-yard option pass to Jack Gerke, number 40, a first-year starter from Utah. With the score tied at 3-all, the game settled into a curious pattern. Both Zonka and Denver's Floyd Little, number 44, hammered away with effect between the 20-yard lines. Now, one might think the 20-yard line is close enough for a field goal attempt, and it is. And they tried and tried and missed and missed. The two teams missed a total of 5, and it wasn't until the last moments of the third quarter that Denver broke the deadlock. As you might expect, a 31-yard pass from Don Horn to rookie Dwight Harrison, number 82. It looked like the 10-3 lead was going to hold up, which it did until late in the game when Denver suffered a 14-yard punt deep in their own territory. After that, all it took was one flick of Bob Greasy's wrist, one flick of Paul Warfield's hip, and the surprisingly even contest turned out to be just that, 10-10.
As an ex-field goal kicker, I can testify that it was probably a combination of pressure and early season jitters that caused all those missed field goals.
That's right, Pat, but I'll bet some of the shorter misses still surprised a lot of people anyway. Speaking of surprises, that's what Hank Stram and his Chiefs found waiting for them when they arrived in San Diego.
The Kansas City Chiefs have been very successful over the years because Hank Stram sees to it that the Chiefs consistently surprise their opponents with formations, deception, and execution. Against the Chargers, the Chiefs left San Diego dazed and confused throughout the first half, with an assortment of halfback options and wide-open receptions by the Chiefs' wonder horse, Otis Taylor, number 89. The Chiefs' lizard backs scored 2 touchdowns. Warren McVay slithered 6 yards for one of them, but much to the Chiefs' dismay, that was it. After a one-year layoff, Sid Gilman returned to coach the Chargers, and he raised several eyebrows with many of his off-season trades and draft choices. What the Chargers have lacked in recent seasons is a consistent pass rush, but John Tanner, number 85, a young draft choice, and Ron East, number 77, part of the Lance Allworth trade with Dallas, seemed to provide immediate help for second-year veteran Tom Williams, number 87, and Steve DeLong, number 82. These men helped shut out the Chiefs for the second half, and while the crowd loved it, there was much more to come. With exciting running back Dickie Post traded to Denver, Gilman is looking to rookie Mike Montgomery, number 23, to take up the slack. With 4 minutes gone in the third quarter, Montgomery took Hadel's 39-yard pass into the end zone, where he suddenly remembered what to do with the ball. Trailing 14-7, Hadel teamed up with yet another newcomer, veteran wide receiver Jerry Levias, number 25. Levias came from Houston, and he was publicly very unhappy at the time of the trade. But after his 37-yard touchdown tied the score, he looked anything but disgruntled. But Gilman was due even more plaudits. As a Chief during the glory years, Mike Garrett, number 20, was among the most popular players. After being traded to San Diego, he threatened to quit to play pro baseball. And during the game, his friends on the Chiefs defense must have made him remember that. But after Hadel converted a 3rd and 15 situation on a pass to Walker Gillette, number 84, Mike Garrett stepped up and discovered why he still plays football. With 1st and 10 at the Chiefs' 26, he won the game. The season is, of course, very young, and the Chargers newcomers have yet to perform for a sustained period of time. But for Garrett, Levias, East, and of course Gilman, it's a new beginning. And coming from behind to beat the Chiefs 21-14 is a great way to begin, any way you look at it.
have more exciting action on This Week in Pro Football right after this brief message. The Colts and the Jets met in a rain-soaked opener, but the way the Colts played, you'd have thought they'd been practicing in the rain since the beginning of summer camp.
The world champion Baltimore Colts opened at home against the Jets, and both teams were missing their star quarterbacks. However, for the Colts, the loss was not as severe, for they proved to be better than ever in all phases of play. Their special teams were among the best last year, and number 46, rookie Lynn Dunlap, showed they're even better this year, as he returned this punt 57 yards. Then Earl Morrill to Ray Perkins set up a 1-yard plunge by Tom Matty, and the Colts were on the way. But while the Baltimore offense was good, the defense was quicker, tougher, and meaner than ever, as it held the Jets to 4 first downs passing and 2 rushing. But the real story of this game was Norm Boulash, who sprained his ankle on the first series of plays and then came back to break Alan Amici's club record, which was set in 1955 by rushing for 198 yards. Even the muddy, slippery field didn't seem to bother Boulash as he went 67 yards on this play to wrap up the victory for Baltimore. Although it's early in the season, it's obvious that the Colts have an improved running game, that their defense is rougher than ever, and that after their 22-0 win over the Jets, they are the team to be reckoned with in the AFC East.
Well, it looks like Norm Boulash is at mid-season form a little early.
That's right, Tom, but more surprising to me was the way Jim Plunkett engineered the Patriots to that stunning upset over the Raiders. Let's look at that game.
Their new stadium is in Foxborough, Massachusetts, and it's a far cry from last season when they were tenants in Harvard's inadequate football arena. Their new name is the New England Patriots, and it's not such a far cry from their old name, the Boston Patriots. But it's symbolic of the fact that they're thinking bigger now. And most of their thinking evolves around Jim Plunkett, their rookie quarterback and #1 draft pick. Meanwhile, the Oakland Raiders were all smiles because they were heavy favorites to beat the Pats, who in recent years have been the Patsies. The Raiders started with all the pride, poise, and power that they've exhibited in the preseason when they had their best record ever, 5-1. Number 28 rookie Clarence Davis supplied the power as he went 39 yards on this play. Then Pete Banaszak put the Raiders on top 6-0 with his 4-yard scamper. But the Oakland happy faces soon turned to frowns as their offensive attack sputtered and withered away. And then Patriot fans got the show they came to see as Jim Plunkett picked the Raiders apart with the coolness and audacity of a 10-year veteran. Plunkett's first touchdown toss as a pro was a 33-yarder to Ron Sellers, and New England was ahead to stay. Then it was Plunkett again as he hit a wide-open Roland Moss to seal the 20-6 upset victory over Oakland. They say it can happen on any given Sunday, and when it does, how sweet it is. And the Patriots' new look may be responsible for a lot of sweet Sundays this year.
In the midst of this unpredictable upset opening Sunday in the NFL, the Philadelphia Eagles did their thing with unswerving consistency.
The youthful Go-Go Bengals have stretched their stomach for winning in 13 of their last 14 games. And Cincinnati opened their season like a cat with a big appetite for birds. The Eagles did everything they could to be an accommodating guest in Riverfront Stadium. They dropped passes. They stood off sides. They fumbled. In fact, they made every conceivable mistake at least once. And when the Eagles forgot to help the Bengals helped themselves. Number 74, Mike Reed, was the quick and constant companion of the Eagle quarterback all afternoon. Pressure by the Cincinnati Four forced 3 Pete Lisk interceptions. This one by number 29, Sandy Durko. The last feather on the Eagles' carcass was picked off by an unheralded rookie, number 23, Ike Coleman. Meanwhile, the Bengals were attacking the Eagles' linebackers. Number 19, Essex Johnson, turned this classic Paul Brown pitch and go into a lesson in legwork 68 yards long. The Bengals quarterback, Virgil Carter, ventilated the Philadelphia zone with 8 strikes to hot-fingered little Eric Crabtree. Overall, Carter threw 22 completions in 30 tries for 273 yards and 3 touchdowns. This one to number 30, Jess Phillips. Fear of the Cincinnati sweep set up the game breaker, a 25-yard pass by Virgil Carter and a 65-yard gallop by Speedy Thomas. As one pundit put it, the Eagles look more like turkeys, and Cincinnati celebrated Thanksgiving early. Score 37-14.
So it looks like look out for Cincinnati in the AFC Central, Tom. They've come of age.
That's true, Pat, but don't forget the Cleveland Browns. They're really never out of season.
The Cleveland Browns marked time during the preseason. They won only 1 game. But the experienced Browns know that the preseason is just for one thing, to get ready. And Cleveland and new head coach Nick Skorich were ready for Houston on opening day. The Oilers' veteran quarterback Charlie Johnson got Houston off on the wrong foot. And the Browns and number 71, Walter Johnson, never let Charlie Johnson and the Oilers regain their poise. And when number 10, rookie Lynn Dickey, became the dealer, number 88, Ron Snido, took a hand. The Browns' pressing defense forced 5 interceptions, 2 by safety Walt Sumner, and this one by number 22, rookie Clarence Scott. A new head coach cannot be too quick to show pleasure, but what Nick Skorich saw he must have liked. The offense was just as pleasing as the defense. Leroy Kelly and number 35, Bo Scott, bowled for big yardage, with Kelly scoring on 2 one-yard pops. Number 16, tough and game-wise quarterback Bill Nelson was on target in every direction. And number 43, Fair Hooker, showed why his flashy meat hooks are considered as good as any in the game. Number 44 was obviously Leroy Kelly, back in full stride again. And what Nick Skorich saw, he had to like. Many felt the Browns were fading as a power. Perhaps even Houston's rookie head coach Ed Hughes felt the Browns were fading. Only the Browns didn't get the message, and Ed Hughes' debut was spoiled. The day belonged to old pro Bill Nelson, who hit 17 of 31 passes for 250 yards and 1 touchdown to Gary Collins on a post pattern, of course. The damage was 31-0 Browns.
In Buffalo, the Bills and the Cowboys forgot to bring their defenses. Last Sunday saw Dallas allow more points than they gave up during the last 5 games of 1970. Incredibly, they still won.
Undefeated in preseason, the Dallas Cowboys came to Buffalo stuffed with talent at every position. The Super Bowl finalists attacked the Bills early with their methodical and brutal ground game. Calvin Hill, number 35, swept to his first touchdown of the infant season, and Buffalo looked like easy pickings to the confident Cowboys. But second-year quarterback Dennis Shaw and receiver Haven Moses took advantage of a collision in the Dallas secondary, and 73 yards later the score was tied at 7. Recent drafts have turned the Bills' once lethargic offense into a young point-a-minute machine. New coach Harvey Johnson has reinstated the I formation, and nobody in football runs better from it than O.J. Simpson, number 32. Trailing the brash Bills 14-7, Dallas evened the score when quarterback Craig Morton's deft play-action fake froze the Bills' secondary, and Bob Hayes galloped unmolested to a 76-yard score. Dallas' doomsday defense has always depended on their linebackers' ability to retreat quickly into the passing lanes. All-Pro Chuck Howley, number 54, made a precise drop to the sideline and almost turned this interception into a touchdown. Behind pulling guard John Nyland, number 76, Walt Garrison cut back to daylight and another Dallas score. The plucky Bills gained a 30-28 lead in the third quarter when Shaw and Marlon Briscoe converted a routine turn-in pattern into a 77-yard foot race. Aided by Haven Moses' perfect block on Cornell Green, number 34, Briscoe scored. Although Shaw passed for over 300 yards and 4 touchdowns, the Bills lost because they could not contain 240-pound Calvin Hill, who physically punished Bills tacklers and scored 4 touchdowns. Quarterback Craig Morton threw only 14 passes, but completed 10 of them for 2 touchdowns as Dallas escaped with a 49-37 victory on a day both defenses took a long rest.
Boy, it's hard to figure Dallas giving up all those points.
Bet Tom Landry wasn't too happy. But while the Bills and the Cowboys totaled enough points for a respectable halftime score in the NBA, the Cardinals and the Redskins were showing a pair of new head coaches who have a history of winning.
In St. Louis, they welcomed George Allen, the new head coach of the Redskins, who's built winning teams for years with skin-headed veterans who rarely commit mistakes. Bob Holloway, the new coach of the Cardinals, came from Minnesota, where his defense ruled the black and blue division. Against Washington, the Cardinal defense made the Redskins pay dearly for every mistake. While the Big Red defense stuck its head in every collision fiercely, the conservative Cardinals offense fell flat on its face. The 2 touchdowns scored by their superstar tight end Jackie Smith, number 81, were the only bright moments for St. Louis. For most of the day, the Cardinals looked like they were trying to cope with a slick frisbee instead of catching a football. Quarterback Jim Hart, number 17, spent most of his day groping for the ball rather than throwing it. 3 times the alert Redskin secondary picked off his errant tosses. While St. Louis sputtered, stumbled, and fumbled, Redskin veterans like number 55 linebacker Chris Hamburger accepted each gift and delivered it to the end zone. On offense, Washington relied on the ground-eating strides of Larry Brown, the NFL's leading rusher in 1970. But Redskin glory rested in the sure hands of their tight end Jerry Smith, number 87, whose AstroTurf acrobatics ensured the first Washington win. While Jerry barely missed an impossible touchdown, he came back to score one almost as incredible. While the splendor of his catch cannot be denied, the handshakes and hugs could well have gone to center Lynn Hawes. Hawes, number 56, picked up and polished off number 74, Fred Herron, and allowed quarterback Billy Kilmer that split second of fleeting freedom. The rest was all Jerry Smith as Washington's poised and disciplined veterans dismantled the St. Louis Cardinals 24-17.
In Chicago, the Bears and the Steelers hooked up in a game that'll have people shaking their heads for a long time to come.
With a new hat and new hopes, Chicago's Jim Dooley brought the Bears to their new home, Soldier Field, to face the Pittsburgh Steelers. With Gale Sayers not fully recovered from an injury, and with an unproven offense, Chicago's only star is number 51, Dick Butkus. After his first quarter interception was wiped out by a penalty, Butkus's pose expressed the futility that has characterized the Bears in recent years. But like a true All-Pro, Butkus refused to give up. On the very next play, he picked off another pass. Butkus is valuable to Chicago, not only for his own defensive genius, but because he serves as an inspiration. When other Bears emulate his roughhouse style, Chicago is tough. But against the Steelers, their hitting was often overcome by Pittsburgh's Terry Bradshaw, number 12, who tamed the Bears with his passing. Running backs John Fuqua, number 33, and Warren Bankston led a sledgehammer running attack that overpowered the Bears. The Steelers' first score came in the second quarter when Bradshaw hit Ron Shanklin, number 25, who fumbled. Running back Preston Pearson, number 26, fell on the ball for a touchdown, and the weird play set an example for the rest of the game. Leading 6-3 in the third quarter, Bradshaw hit Warren Bankston, number 46, whose fumble was recovered by the Bears' Ross Brubacher, number 31. Brubacher's errant lateral was caught by the Steelers' Bob Adams, number 85. The juggling act set up one of 3 field goals by Roy Jarella. That gave the Steelers a 15-3 lead going into the fourth quarter. Then Act 2 of the Comedy of Errors got underway. Again, Pittsburgh's Warren Bankston fumbled, and again the Bears' Ross Brubacher recovered. This time he decided to run with it himself. Result, touchdown. The Steelers now led by only 15-10. With about 2 minutes remaining, Warren Bankston unbelievably fumbled again when hit by Dick Butkus. And number 87, Ed O'Bradovich, recovered for the Chicago Bears. A former Steeler, Kent Nix, number 16, entered the game for the first time as the Bear quarterback, and he ignited the winning drive. Nix's 14-yard run took the ball to the Steeler 3. With only 49 seconds remaining, Nix ruined the Steeler hopes with a game-winning touchdown pass to number 43, George Farmer. After dominating Chicago for most of the game, the Steelers lost 17-15. And you can bet that next time the Steelers won't forget to heed the sign that says, "Please don't feed the Bears."
That was just one of several strange contests that took place on one of pro football's most unusual opening days.
Boy, it was wild. Both the New York Giants and Green Bay Packers suffered through difficult preseasons, but they exploded on opening day.
In Green Bay, there was a surprise party for New York's Alex Webster and new Packer coach Dan Devine. Surprise Sunday got underway early in the first quarter when Green Bay's Ken Ellis, number 48, gathered in a New York field goal attempt and galloped 100 yards to a touchdown. Under a new rule, missed field goal attempts can be returned, and Ellis' run showed that the rule change will add new excitement to the NFL in 1971. Many people expected New York to crumble beneath the Packers' opening fire, since the Giants had lost all 6 of their preseason games, but a Fran Tarkenton to Rich Houston touchdown pass showed the Giants weren't going to wilt. Houston and Tarkenton combined for 3 touchdowns to put New York ahead. Houston, a third-year pro from East Texas State, overcame pass interference by the Packers to make the 39-yard touchdown grab. Then some of the strangest events ever seen took place. The Packers' Dave Hampton, number 25, fumbled, and New York's Ralph Heck, number 55, recovered for a Giant touchdown. On the ensuing kickoff, Hard Luck Hampton again was the victim. Hampton's second consecutive fumble was pounced on by the Giants' Joe Green, number 33, and in a matter of seconds, the score had ballooned to New York 28, Green Bay 7. In the second half, the Giants continued their unbelievable explosion as Tarkenton hit number 24, Tucker Fredrickson, for another score. During the preseason, the Giants had been anything but impressive, but it appeared that opening day awakened them. You would think Green Bay's new coach, Dan Devine, was longing for the campus of Missouri University, but he showed his team was full of surprises too. As if guided by divine inspiration, the pack began to move. With the departure of Jim Grabowski, Donnie Anderson is the last Gold Dust twin from Green Bay's dream backfield, and he showed his talents have become consistent as he powered to a 19-yard touchdown. Anderson's running was complemented by the passing of rookie surprise Scott Hunter, number 16 of Alabama, who combined with Carroll Dale, number 84, for another Green Bay score. But the surprises weren't over. In a punting situation, the snap sailed over the head of New York punter Tom Blanchard, who was tackled in the end zone for a safety by number 43 Doug Hart. With less than 3 minutes remaining, the score was now New York 42, Green Bay 40. The determined Packer drive was cut short in the game's final minutes when linebacker Jim Files, number 58, picked off the Packers' last hope. With that play, Green Bay lost the ball and the ball game, but they lost something even more important, their head coach. Earlier in the fourth quarter, a giant pass was intercepted by Green Bay's Doug Hart, number 43, who was chased out of bounds. On the play, a former Packer, Bob Hyland, crashed into head coach Dan Devine, breaking Devine's leg. From then on, the pack was on its back without a good leg to stand on. In a game that Ripley wouldn't have believed, the surprises were finally over. Dan Devine left the field on a stretcher, and in the biggest surprise of all, the Giants left the field as winners, 42-40.
A while into about the wildest opening day I think I can remember.
Me too, Tom.
You know, I was over in Cincinnati, and Mr. Brown is back. Paul Brown had his team well coached. They made few mistakes, and they really hit people. And he turned loose a piano player named Mike Reed, a great defensive tackle, and the Bengals are going to make a lot of people wish they weren't playing that well.
They tell me Mike Reed's pretty quick.
So where were you last week?
I was up in Green Bay to see that wild affair. I wonder, after all the things that happened on opening Sunday, if we should indulge in picking winners again. I was 2 for 2 last week, I think.
That's right. That means I am 0-2. Let's talk about the Atlanta Falcons in Los Angeles, the return of Van Brocklin, huh?
And Tommy Prothro after a heartbreaking loss last week in New Orleans. That ought to be some kind of game. Who do you like?
I'll go with the Atlanta Falcons. I believe that Barry and Burrow are quite a new passing combination.
That means I'm stuck with L.A.
I believe you have to go with the Rams.
Okay, Cleveland, Baltimore.
Baltimore has a great defense, but they tell me the Browns are playing much tougher on defense under Nick Skorich than in the last 3 or 4 years. I'm going to have to go with the fellows in blue if you'll let me make the first choice.
I don't mind Cleveland at all. Oakland, San Diego.
The San Diego Chargers against the Oakland Raiders. Oakland has too much offense. I'll go with the Oakland Raiders.
San Diego was good last week against Kansas City. Washington at New York, that's where I'll be.
You're going to be with the New York Football Giants, I take it.
Again.
I'll go with the Redskins and Billy Kilmer throwing spirals.
Okay. At any rate, we'll be back next week to show you what happens.
I'm Tom Brookshire.
And I'm Pat Summerall, and we'll see you next week.
Promotional consideration for ground transportation provided by Budget Rent-A-Car. Budget brings back the $5 car. Budget rents the Buick Opal and other fine cars for $5 a day, 10 cents a mile plus gas. This Week in Pro Football has been brought to you by the 1972 Buick, something to believe in. And by Hager, the Slacks people. We make everybody look good. This program has been a color feature presentation on the Hughes Sports Network.